doing today, sir?
I'm doing excellent today.
First of all, thank you for coming in to chat and talk. And what's funny is normally when I sit down with someone, it's like one thing that I want to talk about, like Baby Driver, right? But with you, there's like a resume that goes back many, many years, and with you doing a lot of different facets of the industry. So I want to jump into a whole bunch of stuff, which is, let's start at the beginning. You got started with doing, is it stunt work? So how did you get that break to get on like a big Hollywood movie?
So when I was a kid, my parents took me to the drive-in. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Oh, I did too.
Where?
Near Foxborough.
No way.
Yeah.
Patriots fan?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I'm not.
Right. Well, you can, sir. The exit is over there.
That concludes this
Ready,
interview?
we're fucking done.
Right on. No, I grew up in Massachusetts. My parents took me to the drive-in and took me to see a movie called Hooper, which was, I saw that, I think I was 10 years old, and I was like, that's it. That's the coolest thing ever. And so from then on, I wanted to be a stuntman. So when I graduated high school, I moved out to California. I actually went to New York first to try to make a go of it there. And then, you know, there was always kind of that feeling that if you're going to be a stuntman, you got to be a Hollywood stuntman. So I moved to California and did what they used to call hustling, to where you'd show up, we'd go down to the film permit office and find out who pulled permits. And then we would take our Thomas guide. Remember the Thomas guide?
I do.
And we'd take the Thomas guide and we'd go and find these films and we'd sneak on set and we'd look for the stunt coordinator, and you'd show up with your headshot with no credits and no anything on it, you know, and hand it to him and say, I want to be a stuntman. And for years, you know, 3-4 years, you would do that, and guys would be like, yep, okay, and you'd do it as much as you could, and then eventually somebody gives you the opportunity to do something silly like fall down on the ground, or you know, some little stunt that you can't screw up. And if you do that, and if you don't screw it up, you might get another chance. And I ended up meeting a guy named Lane Levitt, who at that time, back in the early 90s and before, was the guy in Hollywood for innovating stunts with equipment. And he had things like air ramps and descenders and ratchets and all this stuff. And he had a place, he still has it, out in Canyon Country, and it's basically a stunt compound. And I had some, to pay the bills in New York, I worked as a concert rigger for like Paul Simon, and I did all these different like high rigging for these companies. And he had found out through a friend that I did this, and he was starting this program, and he called me up and said, hey, do you want to come and work at my place, and you'll clean pads, you'll deliver equipment, you'll do this and that, and in return, I'll bring you on to the biggest sets there are, and you will meet the stunt coordinator that way through working. And I was like, I'm in. I was like a kid in a candy store. And he goes, when you're not cleaning pads or doing stunt-related errands for me, he goes, the whole place is yours to train. And there were like 4 or 5 Scott Rogers and Eddie Fiola. There were these guys out there who are already kind of embedded in this program. And I was like, are you kidding me? So we clean some pads, and then we get to do high falls, we get to do Russian swing, we get to ride dirt bikes, we get to hit air ramps, he had trampoline, he had a rock climbing gym. It was just like, I've arrived in heaven. And he brought me on the biggest shows. That he was doing all the Schwarzenegger movies. My first big movie was Eraser, and he brought me on that for the run, and it just, that man single-handedly gave me the biggest opportunity in my career.
Talk a little bit about doing stunts on a movie like that. How much preparation, are you doing a lot of these things like in that practice facility that you're going to be shooting on set? Like, how much is it figuring out super in advance and, you know, sort of rejigging it on set when you deal with what's actually there?
It's kind of, you know, it depends on the project. You do a show like The Matrix, you know, and we are there for 6 months ahead of time to learn the choreography, to train with Keanu, to be there anytime Keanu wants to go through the choreography. So you've got 6 months in a basically a bitchin' warehouse with a gym and masseuses and dietitians and anything you could ever want to work on these fights. And then you get on a different show, you know, a lower budget show that basically wants you to put the stuff together on the day. So it's really show specific.
Sure.
You know, and it's kind of changed over the years, sort of. If they, you know, nobody wants to, they all want Matrix action or Bourne car chases, but once they realize what that took as far as prep and training and things like that, then a lot of them go, well, we want that, but we don't want
Yeah, there's an element.
We don't want to pay for it.
Well, I was going to say there's an element of you get what you pay for.
Yes, you do, and it's proven. And I mean, and nowhere is it proven better than in John Wick. Because to be able to sit back on those beautiful, in Wick 2, to sit back on those wide, beautiful frames and just let the action play out, the only way you get away with that is with, an actor who's going to train for months.
When you read the script, what is the first thing that you're doing? And how much is it in the script on some of these movies where it describes the exact action, and how much is it car chase ensues?
It's film specific. So sometimes I get a script that says car chase ensues, bar fight ensues, and it's director specific as well. Some directors are going to completely give you the car chase and say, bring me a car chase, and they won't see the locations. They completely trust in that vision and having you take care of it. Some directors are completely the other way, where they show up and they are very specific with what they want you to do, and there's a car chase or a fight written out beat for beat in the script. So as a second unit director now, I look at it differently than I did when I was a stunt coordinator. And as a stunt man, you don't get to read the script. You show up and somebody says smash into that car, and you do. You don't know why. But as a second unit director, I walk through the script. I look at the action beats. I see if they make sense. If they choreographically, if that's a word, if they make sense. And then I will start to envision how I'm going to shoot it. I look for a style in meeting with the director, because as a second unit director, you're shooting someone else's style. You have to. That's the only way to be successful as a second unit director. If you go off and try to make your own movie, you're done. That's not what you're there for, So through meetings with the director and the script, you try to find a tone and a style and really get on board with your main unit director's vision and work it out through there.
It's so funny because I think that, in my opinion, I don't think enough second unit directors and stunt people get the credit that they deserve, because everyone is focused on the main director, and not realizing that the main director is not in the nitty gritty sometimes of the action. Maybe they're doing performance, but I just think there's a lot of background in the industry that maybe isn't known.
I couldn't agree with you more, and to take it even one step further, I mean, I was talking to somebody about the car that comes out of the warehouse in Wick 2, that car, that beautiful side jump, and people always want to know how I did it, and there were so many people that had to be on point to get that shot, from the stunt driver to the guy driving the camera vehicle, the edge arm, to the guy operating the crane in the edge arm, to my DP, to everybody making that shot work. And then you add in that element of danger, to where if that Mustang crashes into that camera car, there's massive, injury potential. So I agree with you 100%. There's so many people involved in getting stuff done that don't get the credit that they deserve.
No, absolutely. I actually think that, I don't know if the Academy Awards would ever get there, but I do think that Best Action Sequence of the Year should be something that is talked about, because the level of the amount of professionals that have to pull something like that off, and the amount of money it costs and the amount of time, it's just something to think about.
I think so too. I always find it amusing when we watch the Oscars, and they'll do the teasers to the films that are coming up, and they'll use a bunch of action in those teasers.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we're just gonna all ignore this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, it's
Cool,
just,
man.
you know what it is. I think that there's an unwritten rule that the director sort of gets all the credit. But I mean, I don't want to mention a film, but I was on a very big movie set, and watching the director, who everyone knows, directing the actors talking in a very dialogue-heavy moment on first unit. And then we walked down the other side of the warehouse, whatever, and the second unit was going, and they were filming a massive action set piece with these other actors where the main director was nowhere to be found. Just saying.
It's case by case for sure, and ideally, and perfect example is a John Wick or a Baby Driver, to where it's such a collaborative process, and you're constantly all working together. And I think if there's success in a film like that, it's success for the entire crew. It came together because everybody was on point. So.
Absolutely. I want to jump backwards. You did stunts, or designed some of the stunts on Jackass and Jackass 2?
I did. I actually I just saw this the other day. I have a writing credit for writing some of the what do you call them, like those scenes.
Sure. So which scene are you most proud of in Jackass or
So
Jackass 2?
I'll give you a little bit of history on this. When we were on Spider-Man 2, we were all huge fans of Jackass, and we knew Johnny from the first Jackass, and I don't remember if we did, I think Dukes came after Spider-Man 2, but already big fans of it. So now we've got a bunch of stunt guys on Spider-Man 2, and we're bored in between choreographing fights and things like this. So we start to make our own Jackass. So what we did, we had a guy on the team named Beavis because he looked like Beavis. And we hung sandbags from the perms on the stage, like 30-pound sandbags, all in a row from ropes. And we put Beavis with a hockey helmet on a mountain bike and told him to ride from this point to that point through the sandbag gauntlet. And all the stunt guys pulled these 30-pound sandbags back, and they were all at different heights. And we just told him to ride, and we said, you have to ride through. And he rode through, and I think the first sandbag hit his wheel, and the second one hit him in the head and spun him like a helicopter, knocked him out cold. We brought him, and we filmed it all. And I think we ended up showing, I don't know if we showed Spike or Jeff Tremaine or Johnny or whoever, we'd show them these clips, and they're like, that's awesome. So in Jackass 2, when they're in the skate park and there's sandbags and they have to ride through all these sandbags, that was a sequence that I came up with from something we had done on Spider-Man 2.
Do you think, the Jackass movies always made me laugh. I mean, hard.
I love them.
So do you think that the Jackass series is dead, or do you think that it could still come back? Or maybe with a new crew?
How do I say this? I love the Jackass series. I love those. Johnny's such a great dude. I hope that they don't come back just because the level that those guys need to go to is scary.
Sure.
You know, and I don't want to see those guys get hurt. Like,
Well, they're getting older now.
well, there's that. I don't know that Knoxville feels anything, but he would do stuff. I mean, he would just asshole himself and then come back and go, did that look good? And you're like, yeah, dude, it looked good and bad all in the same. He's like, no. And he'd look at it because, no, it's got to hit harder. And I'm like, no, dude, you don't need, don't do that. Stunt coordinating on a Jackass movie is probably the worst job you could have ever, because they don't want a stunt coordinator. You can't put a pad in. You don't want to keep them safe. They don't want to be kept safe. So you're just kind of there to set up.
Yeah, they really gave me a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
That's all I can say is thank you.
Great. They're great. And when he did Dukes of Hazzard and wanted to do all his own stunts, and he's great. He's super athletic and can do his stuff and will certainly take the hit. But you know, to try and get, you know, to tell Johnny, listen, man, if you get hurt,
the production
movie
shuts down. Yeah,
so
you can't do that.
I would plead with him. I'm like, dude, look at my kids. They need a house. You don't want me getting fired. Come on, man. He'd be like, all right, you know.
You worked on Drive.
I did.
Right. That movie is what I call a masterpiece. I fucking love that film. So what did you do on Drive? And let's talk about that.
So on Drive, I was the stunt coordinator and the second unit director. I worked with Nicholas to design the car chases and shoot them, some of the action parts of them. I mean, we collaborated on it. Yeah, it was amazing. Nicholas is brilliant.
Yeah, but also with that movie, that's a mixture of the visuals, the acting, the script, but also the music. The music, and which is going to go into another movie, but the music in Drive is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like the song choices, the use of purple, capturing LA at the beginning, the way he photographs it. Or maybe the way you photographed it, who knew?
No, that opening car chase was all Nicholas. I mean, he always referenced like there was blood in the water, you know, and that he wanted a slow car chase. And in the beginning, I was like, well, I don't know how that's going to work. And then as we started to suss it out and I started to see his vision and how he wanted to play it, I was like, this is really cool. And the tension that he built in that, and it was really cool. It was a fun thing to shoot, you know.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of people might not realize that was not done for some mega budget.
No.
That was like independently done, all around LA, rinky-dink in terms of budget.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? Like Band-Aids and duct tape.
Yep, it was super low budget. Not super low budget. It was a lower budget film, you know. And everybody, it's kind of funny because people will reference that car chase, and I think we shot the pawn shop car chase in 2 days, maybe something like that. So we were flying. We didn't have a ton of money, and you know, we didn't have Fast and the Furious money for sure. We didn't even have Fast money, you know.
No, that I'm going to put myself in this for a split second, and I apologize. I did a set visit on that movie, and I was where Christina Hendricks is leaning against the wall at the pawn shop. And I was there a little bit, and that's where I learned about long lens paparazzi, because they were up on a hill shooting through a car, and everyone was like, it was just funny because I didn't understand what was going on. They're like, oh, that's the paparazzi. I'm like, they're all the way up there. How are they getting any shots? And then I came home that day from set, and they'd already had pictures online of Christina and everybody. I'm like, this is unbelievable how this works.
It's crazy.
You know?
It's crazy. That movie, it's funny because a lot of people think that shot in the car chase over Christina Hendricks with the car crashing behind her, they think it was CG or comp or something. That was in camera. She was in the car during the chase with that car completely flat spinning behind her. And I think that look in her face is real.
Probably is.
I think she was truly like, holy shit, we're in a car chase here.
Oh yeah, she's going for it.
She's going for it. It's such a great, it's cool.
Let's jump into what I call Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
What'd you do on that?
So I came in and directed second unit for not that long. Chad and Dave were both there directing second unit.
Well, I was going to say, they did, if I'm not mistaken, Chad and Dave were talking about the Masters of John Wick. I think in 87-11. I believe they did the opening set piece with Crossbones, or am I wrong?
I'm not sure what sequences they did, but I know that they were on it and then they couldn't come back for some other stuff, so I was the
guy.
The next guy.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I basically showed up. I mean, I got a call and they said, hey, can you come in and help us out? And I knew the Russos before. And came in and had no script, didn't know anything about the movie. Landed, and they're like, all right, you're going to shoot Chris Evans over here, and he's fighting Spider-Man. I'm like, why is he fighting Spider-Man? They're like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. And then you're going up, and Chris is looking at me like, who are you, and why are you talking to me? And then the next thing is Scarlet kicking some dude in the head, and then there's a water tank thing with Sebastian, and you're just constant. It was a lot of, I don't want to say cleanup, but it was a lot of just picking stuff up. It was towards the end of the shoot, and we did some fight stuff. We did the elevator shaft fall, and it was.
Oh yeah, that's real good.
Bouncing from set to set to set. So
what's funny is you make it sound like it was all last minute, but that movie is so great.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense how good that movie is.
No, it was great, and I think my stuff was last minute because I came in towards the end of the shoot to just try and help tighten some stuff up, grab some stuff. So
I was also going to say, everyone by the end of the shoot is just exhausted.
Yeah.
So you're like the fresh energy.
Except the Russos, man. Those dudes they don't run out of energy.
Well, that's because one of them shuts off and the other one starts back up.
It's amazing, right? I would love to have that.
It's crazy.
They're nonstop, those guys.
Let's talk a little bit about Baby Driver, and what is it like directing to music?
So Baby Driver, when I first went in and met with Edgar Wright, and he told me what we were doing with this film, my first thought was, that's the greatest idea I've ever heard. And then I was like, why didn't I think of this? Because it's amazing. And then was just like, then I think my second thought was, how are we going to do this? Because you can choreograph fights or things like that are containable to music. Like I can have you walk across this room to whatever and throw a kick and throw a dude. And it's easy because if it doesn't work, I can back you up and we know that this is what we're dealing with. With car stuff, you don't normally have the luxury, and on Baby Driver we didn't have the luxury because we weren't a massive budget film. So we didn't have the luxury of going out onto these locations and actually doing the stunt on the location to time it out to make sure it fit with the music. So we had to get creative, and Edgar, when I came on board and started this film, Edgar already had animatics, he had boards, he had all of this stuff ready to go, which was amazing. He was the most prepped director I've ever worked with.
That's a big statement.
And there is a reason for every single frame in his boards. I mean, it's truly impressive, but he's so prepared. And I think I've read somewhere, and I think he might have told me that he's been working on this for 15 or
a long time.
A long time. So he's thought about it a lot. So he had animatics for these car chases, and they were great, and they were certainly a super solid foundation to start from. But there's, in an animatic, a car can drift a corner and it takes 4 seconds or whatever the artists made it do. In reality, that car is going to take 12 seconds or 15 seconds. So now, because you're a slave to the music, you have to find out where to gain those other 8 or 9 seconds, right? Because you have to stay within the confines of this song. And I wish when I was younger, and I think it should be a film school class, to go out and take a popular song and choreograph any bit of action to it, choreograph a car chase or a fight scene or a foot chase or something like that to it, because you have to be so tight with your edit. And with car stuff, you want to be in the beauty of the drift. You don't want to be, in the suck part of the drift because you're driven by the song. So you start to really try and figure out where it all fits, and it was awesome. It was amazing.
Well, what's amazing about Baby Driver is, and a lot of people might not realize it, in fact, almost all the action, or I think all the action, is during the daytime.
Yeah.
And like you look at John Wick, a lot of that is at night, and doing that stuff during the day is a challenge, especially when you have the real actors in these scenes.
And for closures, I mean, because a lot of times we do car chases at night just because that's when we can get the streets. That's when they're not busy. So, but it was really important to Edgar to shoot Atlanta for Atlanta and to kind of feature it as Atlanta, which I think he did a great job. And I think shooting it during the day just gives it a more, it gives it more of that 70s kind of feel to it. The To Live and Die in LA, The Bullet, The French Connection, all these car chases that were shot in the daytime and stuff. I think it was kind of nice. It certainly added a nostalgia to it.
You've worked with a lot of actors. I think that Keanu Reeves is known as one of the best in terms of doing action, because that's why he gets to do those wide shots, because you're not cheating it.
That's right.
So besides Keanu, who is a legend, who are some of the other actors that have really impressed you in terms of their ability to do action?
Yeah. Matt Damon is top of the list. He's incredibly coachable. He's super athletic and just brings that same attitude to training. He wants to be good. He understands the benefit of him being able to do this stuff. So his fight training, his driving, all of that stuff is really important to him, and he really brings a solid work ethic to it. There are actors that will come in and they'll put in their time. If you say, hey man, I need you in fight training from 1 to 2, they'll come in at 1, 1:10. They'll be there till 1:50 maybe.
Sure.
A few Instagrams in between and all that. And then you get the guys like Matt who will come in if you need him there at 1, he's there at 12:30. He's warming up. He's there till 2, and then he's asking when we can do it again. And so Matt's huge. Ryan was amazing on Drive, unbelievable. His driving was incredible, and he was really, really good at it. Same thing, that same work ethic follows all those guys. Keanu, Matt, Ryan, Ansel did a great job. Where they're there to, it's not something they have to go to. It's something that they realize how important it is, and it allows us to shoot them doing the stuff.
I want to jump into, because I know we're running out of time, I want to jump into Black Panther, which you worked on. I saw a number of clips from it, and I've seen a bunch of footage from it, and it really looks awesome. Just looks so good. So what was the experience like working on it?
The Black Panther experience was amazing. I mean, first off, Ryan Coogler is unbelievable. He's the things that are going to come from that man as a filmmaker are going to blow everybody away. I mean, from Black Panther and whatever he does next, his style, his ability to tell story and understand character, and it's unbelievable. I mean, he's amazing, and the man does have an ounce of ego. He's so approachable, and I mean, he sets this atmosphere where everyone can be creative and come to him and say, hey man, what about this, or how about that? And he knows exactly what he wants, but he still will listen to other people's ideas and filter through what works best for the project. With Panther, for us on second unit, I think it was, it's got to be hard for a main unit director to hand off a massive chunk of the film like this car chase. And I know Ryan, I don't think had a second unit before, or not a big second unit. So there's always that bit of apprehension, and you have to go in and meet with them and try and assure them that you're shooting their vision, not my vision. And with Ryan, we did a lot of animatics. We did I think 30 versions of animatics, and they weren't because a lot of it was because we had locations, we lost locations, we had X amount of days, and then we had to do it in fewer days or whatever. So we were constantly reconfiguring the car chase, but I mean, for him, we were on the other side of the world in South Korea.
I was just going to say, you did the South Korea chase.
Yeah, we did all the South Korea chase just as a standalone second unit, and you know, I think it's nerve-wracking for the main unit director because you're just waiting for footage back.
Well, I'm curious, there's been a lot of great car chases. I also look at the Nick Fury chase in that Civil War, and that, to me, that chase is amazing. So what does the chase that Black Panther have, maybe how does it compare to some of the other Marvel chases or other movies in general?
Well, I think Black Panther to me was one of my favorite characters, even before I got to Black Panther. I think that his story, I don't want to, there's a lot of heart in the Black Panther chase. There's his motivation for why he's chasing these bad guys is heartfelt, and who he's chasing with and the decisions he has to make during this chase and how they affect his life and how they affect his people, because he's the leader of Wakanda, make that chase a bit more deeper, I think. There's a deeper motivation for that chase. So I think that's what's going to make this a little, there's more story to this chase, which is a testament to Ryan Coogler.
I was going to say, character motivation is everything.
Yep.
You leave, we're filming this right now, but in a few days you leave for some Vancouver place to do some Deadpool movie?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what this Deadpool thing's all about. Apparently there's some hype around it. I guess the first one did pretty good or something.
Yeah, it made a little bit of money.
Yeah.
How did you go after that movie, or did David call you and say, hey?
So I, for whatever reason, had the great fortune of very early in my career when I was a stunt guy, meeting two other stunt guys named Dave Leach and Chad Stahelski. And we ended up doing the Matrixes together and working together and just having fun for 20 years as stunt guys. And we all kind of progressed in our careers to coordinate and to second unit direct and kind of went our own paths because, you know, there's not usually two stunt coordinators on a film. We all had our own thing.
Sure.
But we all kept in touch and we all kept helping each other and stuff like that. And then Dave and Chad got John Wick and just absolutely crushed it. And now the two of them are doing their own thing respectively and crushing it with John Wick 2, Atomic Blonde's going to be phenomenal. And so I'm basically just following these two as a second unit director and have the great fortune of working with some of my best friends. And it's so freeing because I literally grew up with these guys, so I can just walk into the director's office and be like, hey man, so what's the deal with this and why are we here and what and how many days and there's no like eggshell sort of, oh, is he worried about what I do?
Sure.
So it's great. Dave asked me to come on as the second unit director to help shoot some of the stuff, and I just think it's because we trust each other, or he trusts me. I don't need to trust him, he's the main unit director. But I think he trusts me and he knows that I'll do the absolute best I can for him and shoot his vision. And
Sure. Well, I know that everything is closely guarded secret on Deadpool 2, but I'm assuming you've read the script. Were you super happy? Is there a sequence you're already like chomping at the bit to film?
So I thought the first Deadpool was one of the greatest films ever. I love anything that upsets the norm, and I thought that film came out and just kind of made fun of a lot of other films and loved it. So when I heard they were doing Deadpool 2, I was ecstatic. And then when I heard Dave Leach was directing it, I was even more blown away. There couldn't be a better guy to direct it. His sensibilities are perfect for this film. There are so many sequences that I'm excited about, and there's one in particular that second unit is going to have a big hand in that I can't speak of, but it's going to be super cool.
Well,
it's going to be amazing.
Well, let's be honest though, David and Chad are both known as action guys.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, when you bring David onto this project after Tim Miller, you're basically saying we're getting serious, or we're very serious about the action, and because the first one has good action, but it's not like, like a Bourne movie, if you
Right,
will. You
right,
know,
of course.
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
You know, do you think that the sequel has a lot more action in it?
There's going to be a lot of action in the sequel.
I like that smile.
There's going to be a lot of action.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to get you in trouble. But how long are you working on it? Is it?
I'm going up for a couple months.
Oh, so yeah, I got it. But more than all this, so this might be one of your last gigs doing second unit for a little while.
Oh man, from your mouth to God's
Well,
ears.
I'm just saying because you're getting ready to direct your first feature.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what this project is, what it's about, and how long you've been chasing trying to do this.
Sure. So I'm going to direct a movie called Snow Ponies that Gerard Butler is going to star in. It's a script that Pat Healy wrote, like 10 years ago. It was on the blacklist. It's an amazing script. It's a Western, but a really kind of offbeat, left of center Western. It's weird and unique and hyper stylized and really, really fun. So we should start shooting that in January, I think.
Who's going to be your second unit director, or are you going to do first and second?
I will do first and second.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So you're not screwing around.
No, I don't trust any second unit directors. Those guys are hacks. No, it's not.
That's funny.
Oddly enough, it's an ensemble character piece. There's not a ton of action in it. There's some shootouts, but we will. I know these guys at 8711.
I've heard of that company.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're getting their fight stuff together. I think they're starting to get a good handle on it. So I'm going to pull some strings and get over there and choreograph all my fights and shootouts and stuff and previs them before I go. So.
What I was going to say though, because they're going to be wrapped on. I would imagine the 8711 guys are going to also be working Deadpool 2. So I would imagine that's all going to be wrapped by the time you're shooting.
Yeah. Well, and maybe Chad or Dave I'd let Chad or Dave shoot my second unit. So
that'd be kind of amazing,
right?
If you got either of them,
I know,
to work
That's
on
what
it.
I'm saying. I think they should.
I absolutely think they should.
Right?
I think that they owe you at least a little.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you should call that card. You know what I mean?
will.
Just throw it out there.
I will.
But so you have Gerard. Is it like a two-hander, the script, or
It's
is
a
it
seven-hander.
really?
Yeah.
So we're making a new version of Magnificent Seven. What?
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Well, where are you filming?
We're going to film in Budapest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's where it gets interesting when you get more for your money,
Yes.
but you got to fly all the actors.
Right.
So is this one of these things where you're thinking about international appeal already, and these 7 actors are going to be from different parts of the world?
Yes.
So you're already playing so who is your person from China?
Maybe, I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, look, the benefit of this film is it's not a huge budget film. We are fully financed through Sierra based on Jerry alone. So we can hire the best actors for the job. So I can cast who is the right person for the part versus trying to cast for who's worth X amount of dollars, which gives me a ton of freedom. And, I want to make the movie that I want to make.
But is there any pressure from your producers that, hey, if we cast someone from Australia, if we cast someone from Thailand or wherever it might be,
right,
that will help play in those markets?
There's not. Kelly McCormick is one of the producers on the film, who is also a producer on Deadpool 2. And she has been so supportive, and everybody has been in recognizing the benefit of being able to finance this film solely on Jerry's name alone, and the benefit of that to be able to hire whoever we want for these other roles and not really be driven. I mean, look, if we get, Matt Damon or somebody comes on board, we're going to get more money, but we don't have to go that route, which is super freeing.
No, totally. Also, Gerald is known for, or Jerry has been, he's done a few action things.
Yeah, he's done a couple action things.
One or two.
We did a movie together years ago called Gamer, so I know him pretty well.
Neville Dean and Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love those guys.
Well, you also, if I'm not mistaken, worked on Crank.
I did.
And that movie is batshit crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, but you have Neville Dean on rollerblades.
Yeah.
Like filming.
Hanging onto a motorcycle with Jason Statham in a hospital gown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was great.
There's no, I don't think there's another filmmaker like Neville Dean Taylor, to be honest.
Those guys were amazing, and it's funny. It's been great. It's been a great career, and it's been a great, hands-on kind of film school for me to watch guys like Neville Dean and Taylor and watch Nicholas Refn and watch Michael Mann and watch, you know, Edgar Wright and all these, Andrew Dominic, you know, watch these guys and what they do. I've had such a great opportunity to see guys who I love their style, and I love that they're making movies for them.
Sure.
And to see how that works, you know, and to stay true to that as a creative.
Well, we also, you haven't even talked about the fact that you did a little bit on Fight Club, which is David Fincher. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. And a little bit on Panic Room.
There we go. Yeah, I knew that, but let's get into Fight Club real quick.
Sure.
So what did you do on Fight Club?
So Fight Club was way early in my stuntman days, and there was a scene where guys were rappelling down the side of a building in downtown LA, and I think they were spray painting the face on the side of the building.
Yep.
I think the scene got cut completely. So we were there setting up the rappels and all that. It wasn't a whole lot, and I don't even think David was there. So
You should get him for second unit. I'm kidding.
that'd be great.
I think he's going to be in January, possibly shooting World War Z 2.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. You know what I mean? All right, well, listen, let me stop it there and say, super congrats. I mean, we could have spent way more time on all of these different films, and it's just there's a long, nice resume. But I hope what happens out of all this is people at least recognize that second unit is should be recognized for what it does.
Yeah, second unit. I mean, you know, look, there's just these movies now are so pressed for time. Everything's time, right? So it's really hard to get everything you want in the amount of time that you have budgeted. So a lot of these guys have to rely on second unit to get more.
Yeah, I've heard of some movies that the shoot is 70 days. Second unit sometimes is going 40, 45 days.
Yeah, second units can be massive. It's you know, again, it's a movie specific thing and director specific and things like that. But
well, enjoy your shoot at Deadpool and making your own movie.
Right on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great.